There's a small moment that happens in almost every kitchen. You peel a banana, you eat the fruit, and without thinking, the peel goes straight into the trash. It seems harmless, just another piece of kitchen waste on its way to the landfill. But pause for a second and look at that peel again. Because what most people see as garbage is actually one of the most nutrient-dense natural fertilizers hiding in plain sight. Walk into any garden center and you will see shelves filled with bottles promising the same thing: bigger blooms, stronger roots, heavier fruit. They have impressive names: Bloom Booster, Fruit Explosion, Ultra Potassium Formula. And many gardeners spend $20, $30, sometimes $50 on these products every season. Yet the strange truth is this: one of the richest natural sources of potassium and phosphorus enters your home almost every week, and most of it ends up in the garbage: the banana peel. What looks like a simple yellow skin is actually a dense storage of plant nutrients. Nature packed it with minerals to help a new banana plant grow strong roots and develop healthy fruit. And those same nutrients can be extracted with something far simpler than a chemical fertilizer: water. Today, I want to show you how to turn an ordinary banana peel into what many gardeners call yellow gold. A simple liquid fertilizer that costs absolutely nothing, yet can dramatically stimulate root growth, strengthen stems, and encourage tomatoes, peppers, and flowering plants to produce heavier harvests. But there is also an important mistake many people make. They simply throw the peel under a plant and hope for the best. And in many cases, that actually creates more problems than it solves. So today, we will explore the real science behind banana peels, how to extract their nutrients into a powerful liquid fertilizer, and why this simple kitchen waste might be one of the most overlooked tools in natural gardening. Because sometimes the most valuable fertilizer in the garden is the one you almost threw away.
To understand why banana peel water works so well in the garden, we first need to look at what is actually inside that peel. When scientists analyze banana peels, they consistently find one element dominating the mineral profile: potassium. In fact, dried banana peels can contain up to 40% potassium compounds, along with meaningful amounts of phosphorus and calcium. These three nutrients are not random. They are exactly the elements plants rely on during their most critical stages of growth. Potassium, often represented by the letter K in fertilizer formulas, functions as the plant's internal transport system. Inside every plant cell, potassium regulates the movement of water, sugars, and dissolved nutrients. It controls how efficiently the plant moves energy from the leaves, where sunlight is captured, down to the roots and developing fruits. Without enough potassium, plants struggle to move these resources. Fruits remain small, stems become weaker, leaves may look healthy at first, but the plant lacks the internal strength needed to support heavy harvests. This is why potassium is often called the fruit and flower nutrient. Tomatoes need it to produce large clusters of fruit. Peppers rely on it to thicken their walls and improve flavor. Flowering plants depend on it to develop strong buds. But potassium is only part of the story. Banana peels also contain phosphorus, another essential element that plays a completely different role inside the plant. While potassium manages transportation, phosphorus is responsible for root development and cellular energy. It helps plants build new root tissue and strengthens the underground network that absorbs water and minerals from the soil. A weak root is always vulnerable. It dries out faster during heat, it struggles to absorb nutrients, and it becomes far more sensitive to stress. But when phosphorus is available during the early stages of growth, the root system expands rapidly, anchoring the plant deeper into the soil and giving it access to a larger reservoir of water and nutrients. Strong roots mean a stronger plant above ground. Banana peels also contribute calcium, a mineral that reinforces plant cell walls and improves structural strength. Calcium helps stems grow thicker and supports the formation of healthy new tissue as the plant develops. So in a single banana peel, you already have three critical elements working together: potassium for nutrient transport, phosphorus for root development, calcium for structural strength. But there is one problem. If you simply bury a banana peel in the soil, these nutrients remain locked inside the plant fibers. Soil microbes must slowly break the peel down before those minerals become available to the plant. Depending on conditions, that process can take weeks or even months. During that time, the plant cannot access most of those nutrients. Water changes everything. When banana peels soak in water, many of the water-soluble minerals begin dissolving into the liquid. Potassium compounds in particular migrate quickly from the peel into the surrounding water. What you are creating is essentially a nutrient extraction process. Instead of waiting months for decomposition, the minerals move directly into the water within days. When that liquid is poured into the soil, plant roots can absorb those dissolved nutrients almost immediately. In simple terms, the plant receives something like a nutrient smoothie, a fast, gentle infusion of potassium and phosphorus delivered straight to the root zone. And that is the secret behind banana water. Not magic, just a simple way of unlocking the nutrients that nature already packed into the peel.
Now that we understand why banana peels contain such powerful nutrients, the next question becomes practical. How do we actually turn that peel into usable plant food? There are two main methods gardeners use. The first is extremely simple and works in just a couple of days. The second takes longer but produces a more biologically active liquid that also feeds soil microbes. Both methods start with the same first step: preparation. Take 2 or 3 banana peels and cut them into small pieces. This step might seem unimportant, but it makes a big difference. By chopping the peel, you dramatically increase the surface area exposed to water. More surface contact means minerals can dissolve into the liquid much faster. Place the chopped pieces into a 1-liter jar or similar container. Then pour in warm water. Not hot water. Heat can damage certain organic compounds, but comfortably warm water helps speed up the mineral extraction process. Once the jar is filled, simply leave it at room temperature for about 48 hours. During this time, something subtle but important begins to happen. The water slowly pulls soluble minerals from the banana peel tissue. Potassium compounds dissolve first, followed by small amounts of phosphorus and trace nutrients. After about 2 days, the water will begin to change appearance. It may become slightly brownish and cloudy. This is normal. What you are seeing is not dirt or contamination. It is the dissolved mineral content leaving the peel and entering the liquid. At this point, the simplest version of banana fertilizer is already complete. But for gardeners who want to go one step further, there's a second method that activates something even more powerful: microbiology. Instead of stopping after the basic soak, you can transform the mixture into what many gardeners call banana tea. The process begins exactly the same way: chopped banana peels in water. But this time you add 1 teaspoon of molasses or brown sugar before closing the jar. That tiny amount of sugar becomes food for naturally occurring microbes in the environment. Once sugar is present, those microorganisms begin to multiply and ferment the organic material in the jar. Leave the mixture for 5 to 7 days, with the lid loosely closed so gases can escape. During this time, the microbes begin breaking down parts of the banana peel structure. As they digest the organic compounds, they release additional nutrients and small amounts of amino acids into the liquid. This is very similar to what happens in natural farming systems, like fermented rice water or other microbial plant tonics. The result is not just mineral water. It becomes a living microbial solution that feeds both plants and the beneficial organisms in the soil. One thing you will notice, however, is the smell.
Fermented banana tea develops a slightly sour, yeasty aroma, something many gardeners compare to the smell of kvass or mild fermentation. This is completely normal and simply indicates that microbial activity is taking place. Before using either solution, one final step is important: filtration. Strain the liquid through a simple cloth or sieve to remove the peel pieces. Those solid fragments have already given up most of their nutrients and are no longer needed in the fertilizer. Instead of throwing them away, send them to your compost pile or worm bin, where they will continue feeding the soil ecosystem. What remains in the jar is the true treasure, a mineral-rich liquid that started as nothing more than kitchen waste.
Once the banana water is ready, the next step is knowing how to use it correctly. This part is important because even natural fertilizers work best when applied at the right time and in the right concentration. Let's start with dilution. If you prepared the 48-hour quick extraction, the liquid is already fairly mild. In most gardens, it can be applied directly to the soil without further dilution. The mineral concentration is gentle enough that it will not burn plant roots. Fermented banana tea, however, is stronger. Because microbial fermentation releases additional compounds into the liquid, it is best diluted before use. A simple ratio works well: 1 part fermented banana tea to 5 parts clean water. This keeps the solution balanced and prevents the soil from becoming overly rich in sugars or organic residues. Next comes timing. Plants need different nutrients at different stages of growth, and banana water becomes most valuable when the plant is entering its reproductive phase. The ideal moment is when the plant is preparing to flower or has just formed its first small fruits. At this stage, tomatoes, peppers, cucumbers, and many other crops suddenly demand large amounts of potassium. The plant is shifting its energy from leaf production toward fruit development, and potassium becomes the key nutrient that supports that transition. Applying banana water during this period gives the plant an immediate supply of the mineral it needs most. Houseplants can benefit as well. Species such as monstera, orchids, and other tropical plants often respond well to occasional potassium feeding during their active growth season. For indoor plants, applying banana water once per month is usually more than enough. Finally, there is the method of application. Banana fertilizer should always be used as a soil drench, not a foliar spray. Pour the liquid directly at the base of the plant, allowing it to soak into already moist soil. This delivers the dissolved nutrients straight to the root zone, where they can be absorbed efficiently. Spraying the liquid onto leaves is not recommended. The slightly sweet residue left by banana water can attract insects such as fruit flies, and in humid conditions, it may even encourage fungal growth on leaf surfaces. Roots love potassium. Leaves prefer to stay clean. So, when using this yellow gold, always feed the soil first.
Whenever a gardening method becomes popular, the same thing inevitably happens. Some gardeners try it once, make a small mistake in the process, and then conclude that the entire method doesn't work. Banana peel fertilizer is no exception. When used correctly, it can provide a gentle and effective potassium boost for many plants. But when used incorrectly, it may create pests, bad odors, or even harm the soil ecosystem you are trying to support. So before you start saving every banana peel in your kitchen, it is important to understand the 3 most common mistakes gardeners make. The first mistake is throwing fresh banana peels directly onto garden beds. Many people have heard that banana peels are rich in potassium, so they simply toss whole peels under tomato plants, rose bushes, or fruit trees and expect the nutrients to magically feed the plant. Unfortunately, this approach often creates more problems than benefits. Fresh banana peels sitting on the soil surface quickly attract fruit flies, ants, and other insects that are naturally drawn to sugary organic material. In some regions, they may also attract larger animals such as rodents or raccoons searching for easy food. But the problem goes deeper than pests.
As the peel begins to rot on the surface, bacteria start breaking down the organic material. During this process, many soil microbes temporarily consume nitrogen from the surrounding soil in order to digest the carbon-rich peel. In simple terms, the microbes borrow nitrogen from the soil to break down the waste. This means that instead of feeding your plant immediately, a fresh peel can briefly compete with the plant for nutrients until decomposition is complete. That is why extracting the nutrients into water first is so much more effective. It allows the plant to access the minerals directly without waiting for months of slow decomposition. The second mistake is something many beginners discover the hard way: the forgotten jar. Fermentation is a controlled biological process, but when a jar of banana peel sits for too long, especially in a tightly sealed container, the environment can turn anaerobic. Instead of beneficial microbes gently breaking down the organic material, oxygen disappears and a completely different group of bacteria begins to dominate. These anaerobic bacteria produce compounds associated with putrefaction rather than fermentation. The result is unmistakable. If you open the jar and smell something similar to sewage, rotten eggs, or a strong sewer-like odor, the solution has gone bad. At that point, the liquid is no longer useful as plant food and may even be harmful to soil life. The safest solution is simple. Pour it out, rinse the jar, and start again with a fresh batch. Healthy fermentation should smell slightly sour, somewhat yeasty, or similar to mild fermentation, not like a sewage pipe. The third mistake is something many gardeners never think about: pesticide residues on banana peels. Most commercially grown bananas are treated during transportation and storage to prevent mold, pests, and premature ripening. These treatments may include fungicides or surface preservatives that remain on the peel when the fruit arrives in the store. When you eat the banana, those residues stay mostly on the peel, the very part we plan to use in the garden. If the peel is used without washing, small amounts of those chemicals may end up in your fertilizer water and eventually in your soil. The solution is very simple. Before peeling the banana, wash the fruit thoroughly under warm water, ideally with a little soap, and rinse it well. This removes much of the surface residue before the peel is used for fertilizer. Even better, when possible, choose organic bananas, which are typically grown without many of the post-harvest chemical treatments used in large commercial supply chains. Because the goal of natural gardening is not just feeding plants, it is protecting the living soil beneath them.
Modern gardening has slowly taught us a strange habit. Whenever plants need nutrients, we assume the answer must come from a store shelf, a bottle, a powder, a carefully branded formula with complicated instructions. Yet nature has been creating perfect plant nutrients long before any fertilizer industry existed. Banana peel water is simply a reminder of that truth. Instead of throwing kitchen scraps away, we can return those nutrients back to the soil where they belong. What once looked like waste becomes part of a zero-waste cycle, where the kitchen feeds the garden and the garden feeds the kitchen again. In this cycle, nothing is lost. Banana peels provide potassium and phosphorus for flowering plants. Rice water feeds beneficial microbes and supports nitrogen cycles in the soil. Milk sprays help protect leaves from fungal diseases without toxic copper residues. When these simple systems work together, something remarkable begins to happen. The garden becomes less dependent on outside products and more dependent on the natural cycles already happening in the soil. That is what true gardening independence looks like. Not a shelf of expensive inputs, but a living system where waste turns into fertility and fertility turns into food. So now I'm curious about you. Do you still throw banana peels in the trash, or will you start saving them for your garden? If you're ready to try this experiment, write yellow gold in the comments so other gardeners know they're not alone in rediscovering this simple method.
And if you enjoy learning these forgotten, free, and completely organic gardening techniques, consider subscribing to Tranquil Gardeners. There are still many quiet secrets of the garden waiting to be rediscovered.